Good morning, everyone. I hope you guys have your coffee. Today, I am drinking out of my flower mug, which is a gift from my good friend Candace Deschler. So, shout out to her. But I wanted to say good morning to you this Saturday morning, have some coffee with you. Maybe you just woke up, maybe you've been up since 7. And I just wanted to have a continued conversation about concert band, specifically middle school band, and talking about student engagement. So that is, I have like maybe 5 or 6 points today to talk with you, and I want you to join in the chat and like talk about what are some tips you have for those who are watching. So, if you don't know me yet, my name is Erica, and I'm a middle school band director in Maine. I have taught in so many different kind of schools. It's like my fourth school I taught at, and I've been teaching for about 12, 13 years. I lost count. But there is something that I have noticed. And what I have noticed in my band program, been here at the school for 5 years, is that one, we're starting to build culture, and two, or there is a culture, right? And for those who agree that band culture is an important thing in your program, let me know in the chat. But I also understand that for my students, that I'm getting this a lot of what I'm calling band positivity. Like they know that they are a band person. They love being a band person. They're not embarrassed about being a band person because we have these. I don't know where these stereotypes came from because I mean concert band came from the military, right? The history. So I'm not really sure why socially band is viewed in the way it is. Band kids are the best kids, right? So, but anyways, I have band positivity in my classroom. I've been at the school for 5 years where the kids are feeling good. We have this culture. And so I want to talk about student engagement because I do think that student engagement is our high student engagement, excuse me, high student engagement is the um, effects of two factors. High student engagement is in the effect of culture and great teaching. Okay. So, culture you can establish, right? You don't have to, I'm not saying you don't have to be the best teacher, but like culture is one thing, right? Socially, what are your standing SOPs? Like, what are your expectations and all those things? And so, culture, socially, professionally, things like that, that is one aspect. The other aspect is great teaching. Now, great teaching can look in many, many ways. Obviously, that is dependent on how much you put in, as in like years of teaching, professional development, using your resources, things like that. But great, you don't have to go to the number one college of music to be a great teacher. You didn't have to make all state band in your high school years to be a great teacher. You even have to be like, I mean, of course, you want to be a good musician, but what I'm trying to say is like, don't think in your brain that you don't have the skills or abilities to be a great teacher. So I just want to go to these teacher tips for you all. And in this morning, enjoying your coffee. Maybe you are eating a bagel. Let me know if you're eating breakfast or if you already ate breakfast. But the so that's the first tip. So tip number one is great teaching. Now, I have this. You can jump. This might be controversial, but I think some band directors are confusing teaching from rehearsing. You have teachable moments during your rehearsing, but you should be teaching before you're rehearsing. And so where are you rehearsing? Sorry, what do I mean by teaching versus rehearsing? So a teacher so teach warm-ups is where you do a lot of the teaching. Okay. So I have a problem with band directors who their warm up is like cyclical, like three things. We hit the scale, we hit the long tone, breathing exercise, and then hit the long tone, and then or the chorale, and then move on, right? Um, that yes, you do those things, but you specifically pick up your warm-ups to teach a concept that the music is asking, right? So if you have a piece that have staccatos, right? Your warm-ups in the scale, in the breathing exercises, because your air attack is different, right, of a staccato than it is a legato. Like all of those things, like the kids are not going to know. Again, I teach middle school band, but even if you teach high school band or collegiate band, the kids see reminders. The kids don't know. You are their coach, you are their teacher to teach them how to do these things, right? So your I believe, this is me, I believe that great teaching happens as soon as you do your warm up, have a teachable moment right after the concert that we had, the winter concert. I know some teachers do the whole, hey, have a movie and like, let's just do fun things. Well, by the way, band is fun, but I just have my kids keep playing and we have these teachable moments. And so, for example, before winter break, we were talking about subdivision. I had a whole lesson, and the lesson wasn't like a PowerPoint, y'all. The lesson was like just using the board. I have a smart TV, so I had like the board and I had like, what is subdivision? What are the moments where you should subdivide? Of course, we all know all the time, but there are specifically like 4 or 5 reasons that you really should subdivide, like for example, tempo, transitioning, etc. So I teach my kids this. That I ask them the questions, and we reiterate over and over and over again, like what is subdivision? If you're asking when you're rehearsing, right? You may say, "Don't forget to subdivide." Okay, you can say that, but did you teach them what that means? Right? Did you teach them what that means? So great teaching is, I feel, the effect of everything, effect of your culture, effect of student engagement, because once the kids understand what you're asking of them, once they actually understand what these musical terms are, and you don't even have to do like college, like this is why, or I don't know, like you don't have to make, like just talk to them real talk, just talk to them in their language and be like, this is subdivision, etc. um and then it's interesting because, so again, I'm just telling my story because I think this is going to make a point, is that when I did that lesson, I immediately picked pieces. I think I picked 5 pieces. I picked Byzantine dances. I picked fire dance. I've picked Blue Comet. And these are all like grade 2 pieces, maybe grade 2.5. What else did we do? We did Electricity, right, from Brian Balmages. And there we did like 4 or 5 pieces. And I told them, we are sight reading, but you're subdividing. Like they understood why the subdivision is there. And because they understood, when we got to this on Friday, Electricity, they did it on their own. I reminded them and did it on their own. So I was hyping up last night in my late Friday night band chat. I was hyping up last night how my students are coming in, right? They're coming in with high energy, even if it was after the break, they're coming in ready to go. I have my percussionists, like, without me reminding them, like to clean up and pack everything. I have this, which I don't know about you, but for me, that's a big thing. Okay. Cause I always have to be like percussion, put the covers on, put this on, put that on, put the sticks away, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, so um, I think great teaching allows the students to meet you halfway and even more halfway. Now, the next 3 things, that's just a big thing. But the next 3 things are like small things, because a great teaching, it's going to take a while, right? Great teaching is going to be the experience, trying things, talking to your colleagues, what works, what doesn't work. Don't wait for a conference for Midwest, for All-State. Don't wait for those things to ask questions. Start to ask questions now. Ask me questions. Ask your, colleague questions. This is the thing. Like, we don't talk about band enough. The only time we talk about band is when we have these conferences. So the next 3 things is Have your identity. Okay, so have a band identity to these students. So I say to my kids, I say, hey, band, like that is their identity. Now, one of my bands is not responding to that well. Like, not that they don't like the hey band, just I think their minds are still a little young. And so their minds are still a little young, and so I talk to them. I still use hey band, but then I add something. So I say hey band in time, right? So hey band, get set, and then the tempo, right? If that's the tempo I'm going. So I'm going a faster tempo. Hey band, get set. Right. So like my sixth grade is responding to that. But I still use the hey band because that for me is their identity, right? Their identity is hey band, but um but I they like the tempo part to it. So like for 7th, 8th grade, I'd say, hey band, and they know that they have their big eyes on me. And then for my sixth graders, they need a little bit more time, a little bit more influence, right? Because as conductors, we influence the ensemble, right? And as music educators, we teach them the skills they need to be effective in their performance and etc. So influence. So they need more influence. So I say, hey band, get set, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they go in. So identity will help student engagement because they know, hey, it's time to lock in. Hey, it's time to go. Hey, it's time for me to pick up my instrument. Hey, it's time for me to stop talking. Like you got to help your students. They're not going to know. Even if they're high school students, like they're still young. They're still young. They don't know, right? They don't know norms, I guess is better to say. They don't know norms. You have to teach them these norms, okay? So again, and um, student engagement and culture goes both. It goes hand in hand. And so we talked about one, great teaching. Two, give them an identity, right? Which is like, hey, band for me. And then that is all of that. Okay, I'm going like through rehearsal time. So warm-ups, right? Warm-ups is your big teaching moments. I'm not saying you don't have teaching moments in your rehearsal, but those are like the heavy, their focus. It's the start of class. These are the concepts, blah, 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 blah. And then you go to your call to attention, which will help your student engagement. They're going to know when is the time to focus and lock in. So number two is their identity. What is their identity? You can do them by your mascot if you're a Panther or whatever. What is the identity of these students? So we have great teaching during your warm-ups, great teaching, like the best, like utmost, you have to go all in the warm-ups. And then you get their attention and then you start rehearsing, right? But they should be feeling good about the rehearsal because you were specific in your warm-ups on what the theme is. And I would tell you guys, we're about to do a rehearsal. What is it that we are focusing on? And then they'll say like subdivision. And then I was like, oh, what number are you counting to? And that's like a thing now in my class. It's like, we're counting to 3, we're counting to 4. And like they are making like the whole rehearsal experience like fun and hype, and like they get to respond, right? It's back and forth, back and forth. I'm having a conversation because really that's what it is. As a director and a conductor, you're having a conversation with your students visually, right? But it's okay to put the visual down and just literally have a conversation with your kids and remind them and etc. So to add to the conversation to your students, right? To add the conversation to your students, you're going to start giving them shout outs. So here's the thing: rehearsal, rehearsal, rehearsal. You stop, and what do you tend to say is like, what needs to be fixed? So try instead, give a shout out. Even during the rehearsal, like when you're conducting, you hear something good, like I heard something good. Sorry, I'm doing my conducting gestures, but like you heard something good, like you give them a shout out. Like we were sight reading this. Okay, if you know this piece, I'm not going to open it, but if you know this piece, Electricity by Brian Balmages, and hopefully I'm saying his name correct. Like this is like crazy, like not crazy, but it's you have to count. Like you have it goes to 3/4, goes to 4/4. Everyone's playing on different beats. It's not rhythmically unison. There's a lot of elision going on. And so look at me using my fancy music words. But anyways, there's a lot of things happening, a lot of layers. And I had a bass clarinet student who actually to always tells me that she's not a confident player. She was playing it because she knows how to count. And why does she know how to count? Because I did that in my warm up. And why did I do that warm up? Because it's important, right? So and I gave her a shout out. I went up to her I stopped rehearsal, right? I went up to her, I gave her a high five. I said, yes, that was good playing. Band, that was good playing. That already got the band. Like, okay, like I want to get a shout out. So shout outs is a great way for student engagement because already they're like, I want that dopamine hit. I want that attention. I want that, like that affirmation or whatever from that because I wanted that. Okay, when I was in high school band, I was sitting first row, right, playing clarinet. I practiced so much. Like I was a girl that practiced like 5 hours a day and all I wanted like not in like a selfish way, but I wanted to be acknowledged for my hard work. And I don't think that band directors, not all, just I'm just saying in general, teachers acknowledge students when they are doing hard work. And so it's really, really important that you do that, that you take the time to give a shout out to your students and be like, this was good. And then tell them what to fix. And that's, I really feel that's going to hype up your student engagement. So again, you rehearse, you tell them what number, you hear things, right? You're using your listening skills, you're influencing your ensemble through conducting, and then you stop and give a shout out. Now, if there's no shout out to be given, then there's no shout out to be given. But I'm pretty sure someone is worth of a shout out, and if you are not there yet and being able to use your ears in that way, that could be a different episode on how to help you that. But like to have your ears be so observant that you're catching everything. I think my students are really they're starting to realize how much I hear, and you got to let the kids know like the process, right? And that's actually one of them later, the tips. But the next one, again, very simple. I know I keep going, but I just get hyped up about band, and I hope you appreciate that. So we did great teaching. We did the identity, right? Hey band. We did the shout outs during rehearsal. Then when you have awesome moments, or when you have moments where you just want to get their extra attention, be culturally relevant. Okay. So like kids use hashtags. Well, yeah, they understand hashtags, right? So we have a thing now in our class where we as together decide our hashtags for rehearsals. So the one that I made up that started this whole thing happened last year. I was telling them like hashtag now, like as in like do it now, like you can do it, you have the skills, like hashtag now. And then the whole band goes like hashtag now, they're like hashtag, and this is a student engagement. It gets them doing something fun that's culturally relevant, that's relevant to their times, right? And so they made one up, and they're very short words. They're very short words. So I do hashtag now, which they know like get focused, like let's go, like do the thing. Because I know it was like a day like they would be sluggish or whatever. And so they started doing hashtags. So they would say things, and one person will say thing, another person will say thing, and they won't say like, it's not an interruption thing. Let me be clear. You do not want your rehearsals to be like everyone like randomly saying hashtags. We make it a classroom hashtag once we've noticed something is being repeated. Okay. So I have my kids do rehearsal. I say rehearsal number 25. We're going to start at 25. And then someone will say something to motivate the class. Okay. And it's not a disruption. You got to be careful. Again, I've been working on this for a while. We started this last year. We're now in year 2 of this hashtag concept. But they start saying things like, all right, like get set, or they say locked in, right? And they say something. So we took lock in as our opening hashtag. And we're not doing this like hashtag lock in, but we are just students, right? The leaders, right? I have a poster that says be a leader. The students are setting up, listen, the students are setting up the vibe of rehearsal. They're not saying in my 7th and 8th grade band. This is the hashtags are happening in my 7th, 8th grade band, my 6th grade band. They are not there yet. We are getting fundamentals down. We're always getting fundamentals down in every band, but we're getting the SOPs. Like this is how middle school band works. So they're not there yet because they're just not there yet. But by 7th and 8th grade, we are able to do that kind of stuff in our rehearsal. And so they say lock it. So I say, rehearsal number 22, student leader says lock in. Literally everyone locks in. All eyes are on me. It's crazy. I don't even like it's this happened in rehearsal. It was so cool. And I know some of you guys already have these moments, and it's awesome. That means like you're doing the thing, right? You're establishing the culture. You are doing great teaching. But it was so cool. Like it was like towards the end of rehearsal, and I said, like, I don't know what I said. I probably said a rehearsal number, and I just put my hands up and I just waited, right? I waited. No one said, lock in or anything. I just waited, like, not even, it was like maybe 2 seconds. All eyes were on me. So you gotta, like, the kids can do it. So let me move on. Hashtags. This is another thing too, have them be a part of the process. Now, there's 2 points to this. Having them be a part of the process, as in help them pick music. Okay, so right after the concert, I told the band, "Hey band," right? Because that is their identity, right? So, "Hey band, today we are going to talk about the concert. Blah blah blah. What are our goals?" Right? Not what we did wrong. What are our goals? And then they told me their goals. They told me what they thought they did well. And then I said, okay, now, and their goal, by the way, 7th, 8th grade's goal was to play a grade 3 piece by the end of the year. Okay. So, and why do they specifically say grade 3 is because I took the time, which comes to my point of having them be a part of the process educationally. I was like, I explained to the kids that band music are in certain grade levels, right? Like half to 6, and in collegiate, the numbers keep going in a way. But yeah, so I just told them that. I told them the process, like band directors pick music that fits the ability to the students. Right now you guys are here. Right now we did, you're there. We started with this, blah, blah, blah. And then they decided, okay, well, we want a grade 3 piece. And I explained to them the process. Like you go to JW Pepper or you go to the composer's website. I put them in the process is what I am doing. They did the process, and they like presented pieces to me, and they said, "Miss Gates, this is a grade 3." They said, or 2.5. "Miss Gates, this is in this key. This is by this composer. We have done," like, I was like, okay, band. Okay. I was like, okay, band. So good things are happening when the kids are just doing these things and they're regurgitating back to you all the great teaching that you have been giving to them. So have them be a part of the process, educationally, musically, and leadership wise, right? So we have I didn't write this down, but we have like, we do the shout outs, right? And weekly rehearsals, but we also do like the whole school does like student of the month for your classes. So we do that. We also have like leadership opportunities. I'm not doing that this year because I don't think there's a need to. Every year I've done like a president, a vice president, or whatever. But culture is so good right now, and the student engagement is so high right now, and the buy-in is so high right now that I just don't feel like there's a need to do the leadership stuff because everyone's being a leader. So there you go. Everyone's being a leader. So I don't need to do these leadership things. Um, if I'm acknowledging them all the time. So I think it's really cool. Like everyone is being a leader. I have this poster and maybe I'll like give it up for free one of these days as a download. But I have a series of rehearsal posters that I've created on Canva. And the number one that I always point to, the ones that they even tell me, is be a leader. Yeah. So moving on. That was educate them in the process. And then this is the last one. It's a small thing, but it's good for us to do, is to remind them how far they come. Okay. This is a great, I've been doing this a lot because we've been sight reading music, right? I have been doing this a lot. I've been reminding them, right? Because they're asking for grade. We're not doing grade 3 for the next concert, but we're working towards it because that was their goal, right? And so we're doing a lot of 2 pieces, 2.5 pieces, and kids always get nervous about sight reading for some reason. And I told the kids when they're sight reading, I remind them, like, look, like we have this goal of doing a grade 3 piece by the end, and we are going to sight read these grade 2s. Every piece I gave them the past like 5 rehearsals after the concert have been sight reading grade 2 pieces so they can understand what is needed to play these pieces, what rhythms, what tempos, what musical concepts do they need to know. So I remind them how far they come because my kids come to me with 1 or 2 years of already playing. We start band here in 4th grade. So they either join band in 4th grade, they join band in 5th grade, and some kids even join band in 6th grade. And so they're all coming in 6th grade, different levels. And then there's so much growth that happens in 6th grade. And then 7th and 8th grade, they do this and they already want to do grade 3. So that's really cool. But anyways, the whole point is reminding them how far they come. Be like, hey guys, remember when you were adamant on writing your letters in your notes? You don't do that no more. Remember when you weren't holding half notes for 2 beats because for some reason you thought it released on beat 2 and not through 2? You're not there, like you're not doing that anymore. Like, and so like remember when you didn't know how to hold your instrument right? So I just remind them of how far they've come. And reminding them how far they come gives them that reassurance, that safety and stuff to be like, okay, now I'm going to try this sight reading, this grade 2 or whatever, sight reading this piece. So those are my 7 points for today on how to start. If you're not doing this already, then just try to pick one of them. If you're doing them already, then great. Then let's talk about the next thing because there's more things to do, right? As in bonus ones, for example, like if you're already there yet, you say, yeah, Erica, I'm working on my great teaching through my warm-ups. My band has an identity. I do my shout outs. I do my hat or whatever, something culturally relevant, like for us as hashtags. Like I'm having them be involved in the process. I'm hearing their input. I'm letting them know like what is it I'm doing on my side. What is it that I want them to do on their side? If you are educated on the process. Oh, that was what I just did. And then remind them how far they come. If you're doing all these things, I don't do all this in one rehearsal, but if you're doing this throughout your time in band, then there's some more things you can do. So I'm gonna, before talking about them for like 20 more minutes, I'm just gonna just like point some things out. You can have to heighten student engagement. You can have your students lead warm-ups. You can have your students keep time on a tempo block. You can have your students try conducting. You can have and there's rehearsal strategies. So mine was student engagement, right? My topic right now is student engagement, but there are other ways to get student engagement through rehearsal techniques. And so you could have students decide, okay, so for example, really short, play a scale, concert E flat. Notice I didn't say concert B flat. That's another thing. Make sure they know more than one scale, please. Concert E flat. And I say, okay, I pick a trumpet player. What section are we balancing to? Right? In your warm-ups, you can do that. And then they'll say something. And then I'll switch to a percussionist. And then they'll say, like, flu, which is really, they are like, oh, flu. And then like, they all have to be quiet, right? And so that is like in a way of student engagement by asking people to control the class in some degree of choice. And then that way, when you say in your rehearsal, hey, remember when doing the activity right now, you need to do that. You need to listen to the flutes and clarinets in the front row because they have the melody, right? And you don't say melody unless you have taught them what melody is. Don't assume they learned that in general music class or elementary class. Like make sure everything that you are saying to the in your ensemble, they have been taught what that meant. And that can be done quickly, like melody is what your brain remembers the most. You don't have to explain that melody is like the main line, I mean, or the main theme. You can. You don't have to do the theory of it. Just say melody is what we want the audience to hear the most. It's what they're going to leave their brain knowing the most. It is the main theme. Like you can just say what you want to say and then move on. You don't have to do a PowerPoint, but you do have to have a teachable moment before you start asking things from your students. So student engagement and culture go hand in hand. I enjoyed this conversation with you. I only had like one sip of my coffee, but it's okay. Hopefully, you were drinking coffee in this concert band and coffee talk. And yeah, have a good day. So I will check in with you either Friday or Saturday of next week, and you let me know whether or not you incorporated some of these things. That'd be really cool if you did. Feel free to DM me on Instagram. You can DM me at uh, the teaching band, right? Or you can, if you're on Facebook, you can just DM me at my profile, which is Erica Gates, and then just find a way to DM me. I'm everywhere. So thank you for attending. I hope you had some ideas to go into your rehearsals on Monday. Let me know how everything goes, and I will see you next time. Bye. Have a great weekend.